So today I want to address water on the Appalachian Trail. I know that was a big concern of mine as far as like, is it safe to drink straight from water sources? If not, how do you go about treating it? And then one of the biggest things I was worried about is like, how much do I carry? And how often am I going to come across a water source? You know, how scarce is water on the AT? So let's go ahead and get into that. So first of all, is water safe to drink on the trail? The answer is, I don't know. Some sources would absolutely be fine and safe to drink, and then others may not. But the problem is you can't see whether it's safe to drink or not. I mean, sure, you can probably, you know, imagine a pretty grody looking water source may have some kind of contaminants or bacteria or whatever that might, you know, cause you to be sick. So the best thing to do is just treat your water. It really doesn't add much weight to your pack, and it's very, very simple to do. All right, so if you don't like the idea of diarrhea in the woods and you want to treat your water, then there are basically 3 ways to go about doing so. First, you can boil your water. I'm kind of too impatient for that because you got to boil it and then wait for it to cool down and then pour it in your bladder, and you know, you've got normally a small pot out there on the AT. It's just worth the little bit of money that it would cost to get a filter or some other method of treatment. But boiling is an option, especially keep that in mind if you go with another treatment method and it fails or you lose it, you can always boil your water. If you are going to boil your water, they recommend allowing it to boil for at least a minute. That's like elevations 6,000 and below, and then 6,000 above, like 3 minutes. So just let it boil a few minutes and you'll be good. So if you're impatient like I am and you don't want to wait for water to boil and then cool down and all of that stuff, one less time consuming method is chemical treatment. So in this instance, you can get like Aquamira drops, or I'm sure there are other brands. But the Aquamira, they're like 2 little bottles and it comes with instructions and all that. But it'll often take like 20 to 30 minutes before your water is ready to drink. So if you approach a water source and you're out of water and you just want to take a sip of water right then, you're going to have to wait a while. So, but it is less time consuming than boiling. Now, one of the issues that I have with boiling and chemically treating is it doesn't like filter the junk out of your water. So how do you deal with that? One way is you can run your water through a bandana. So let's be honest, I hope you're going to find a better water source than this on the Appalachian Trail. You typically want to aim for like running water, but there are going to be some instances where this is going to be your water source to drink from. I recommend always carrying a like used Powerade bottle, a Gatorade bottle. They're pretty, you know, tough, just to, you know, scoop your dirty water with, because especially like other bladders and things like that, it's just kind of hard to catch water in them. Alright, so this is your water now. It actually doesn't look too terribly bad, but there are some things floating around in there. Now, obviously, we're not going to have mason jars on the Appalachian Trail, but this is just for demonstration purposes. So you would pour your water, it's dirty, through your bandana, whoop, whoop, whoop. Well, looks like I've filled it up. Alright, so that actually doesn't look too shabby. Not so bad. And so after you've filtered it now, of course, you would treat it. The final method that I would actually recommend, and was the method that I used while on the trail, is the filtering. So the filter that I started with was a Sawyer Squeeze, the larger size. They also make the Sawyer Mini. Both work wonderfully. I ended up swapping because I over tightened the Sawyer. Hey, they tell you in the instructions, do not over tighten, but I did. The little rubber ring inside ended up tearing up, and which prevents it from backflowing as you're squeezing the dirty water through. So basically it has a bladder and then the filter, and you're like squeezing, which is why it's called Sawyer Squeeze, squeezing the dirty water into whatever clean container of water you have. And keep your dirty and your clean water containers separate and know which is which, because otherwise what's the point in treating your water? I ended up swapping to a Platypus gravity filter, which I really love. The Sawyer was great in many ways, but you know, you still had to put the effort of squeezing. You can put the Sawyer like in line on your drinking tube. I don't know if that makes sense. So like cut your tube and hook both ends to the Sawyer, and then you can put dirty water in your bladder, and as you're sucking your water through your hose, it'll flow, you know, through the Sawyer. So it's like an inline filter. And what I liked about this guy over the Sawyer Squeeze is it does all the work for you. So you collect your water, you hang it up, and there it goes. That's why they call it the gravity filter. Now you can get them where this is a 4-liter bladder that's got the hose down to the filter and then to the little do-funky that you hook up to your clean bladder. But they make 4-liter and 2-liter and all of that. So, I mean, it just really depends on how many trips you want to make to the water source, like when you're at camp. I mean, the 4-liter, yes, would be wonderful to have at camp, and especially if there are multiple people, but the 2-liter was really enough for me, and that's what I used on trail. And then there actually was another type of filter that I saw on trail, which would work fine, and it's called the Life Straw. The only negative thing I can really say about the Life Straw is, you know, it's meant to be directly put into your water source, the dirty water, and then you drink directly from the straw, and it filters as you're drinking. So if you want to filter a certain amount of water to put in your pot to cook with, do you drink it out and then spit it into a pot? I mean, you know, and of course if you're cooking you could just boil it, and you know, it would work fine. So I actually know somebody that used a Life Straw the whole trail, and it was fine. Okay, so with these filters there is a little bit of upkeep. You do need to back flush them. I know the Sawyer Squeeze comes with a syringe. I'm not sure if the Platypus did or not, but I used one for my Sawyer Squeeze, but I know you can get them. If your water is flowing this way, your dirty water goes in here and the clean water comes out here, right? So when you back flush, you want to, with clean water, go from this way so it shoots out the dirty water on this side. And you can like tap, 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 tap it on something, and that kind of helps break up all the gunk, because they will get clogged up. So that is something, like when you get to a town, you know, you can back flush it with some clean water, or even on the trail after you've filtered it, then suck some up with your syringe and flush it. Now this guy right here weighs about, I think it's like 2.75 ounces. Now with your extra bladder and stuff, it's going to be a little bit heavier. And the Sawyer Squeeze, you know, has less equipment with it, and I think it's a little bit lighter, but I can't remember. They're all pretty comparable. I mean, 3 ounces, come on. Something else to keep in mind when it comes to filters is that if it gets pretty cold, I mean even close to freezing, you want to keep your filter when you sleep at night, or you know, if it's that cold, even when you're hiking during the day, like in your pocket or somewhere where it's going to stay warm from the heat of your body, like in your sleeping bag or whatever. And because it's going to be wet, you might want to like wrap it up in a Ziploc or something. But that way, you know, it keeps it from freezing, because sometimes when filters like that freeze, it makes the cartridge like ineffective. So it might still have water going through it, it's just not filtering properly, and again, you'll end up potentially with diarrhea. All right, now the question. How often do you come across water on the Appalachian Trail? Well, the answer is, for the most part, very frequently. You can get the Appalachian Trail guidebook. I highly recommend that one. It'll show you your reliable water sources, your, you know, intermittent stuff that maybe there will be water and maybe there won't be. But I think on average you can expect to hit a water source like every 3 to 5 miles or so. Now there are going to be spans where it's a little bit longer than that, but for the most part it's fairly common that you will come across water multiple times a day. So you don't have to worry about, you know, carrying too much with you. Carrying too much? Well, how much is too much, right? I had no idea how much water to carry. I was freaked out, you know, when I started my first day, and I loaded my pack down with 2 liters of water. And all of my fellow nerds know that 1 liter of water is 1 kilogram, which converts to 2.2 pounds. So yes, I had approximately 4.5 pounds of water on my back when I stepped foot onto the approach trail. Now, for me, that ended up being way more than I needed. I would say a liter of water probably lasted me anywhere between 2 to 4 miles, usually on the higher end of 4 miles. Now that's me, I'm a small girl. I'm sure men drink more than that, but the thing is, you're not gonna dehydrate to death in an hour or 2 hour span. Sure, in the summer you'll have to watch heat and stuff like that, but if you're starting the trail in, you know, March, April, it's gonna be cool enough to where you really don't have to worry about that. And by the time it gets hot, you're gonna learn to gauge how much water you need for a certain distance. For girls my size, I would recommend the day you start out at Amicalola, you know, if you start the approach trail, you don't need more than a liter. You'll be fine. Now, of course, you can carry more. You know, some people are like, well, I don't want to have to stop all the time or whatever. That's a personal preference, you know, whatever floats your boat. But I really enjoyed being able to take my pack off and, you know, collect some water and maybe splash off in it a little bit, and, you know, sit and take a break while it's filtering. And it was just peaceful. I mean, you're sitting there by a water source, you know, it's trickling, and I mean, people pay for those sounds, right, on those little CDs or whatever. So you know, just enjoy it. You know, take the opportunity to take a break and eat a little snack. Anyway, I hope that was helpful to y'all, and if you like what I'm doing here on this channel and the information you're receiving, if you found any of it helpful, the easiest way to support me and support what I'm doing is, and the freest way, is to shop through my Amazon link. So it won't cost you anything extra. If you click at the end of this video on where it says buy the ebook, you don't even have to, you know, buy the book. You just click on there and it'll take you to Amazon and then do your shopping. So I know Christmas is coming up. I don't know if y'all realize that, but it's already September and Christmas will be right around the corner. So you can do your online shopping on Amazon there, and you know, that supports me, so it doesn't cost you anything. And then also, of course, there's the support button here on YouTube, and you can become a patron on Patreon. But anyway, we will see y'all next time. Okay, so I am here at Amicalola State Park, and there's this nice little compartment overhead, so that's the opening, where you can put like a headlamp.